Hello, everybody. It's me. It's the capitalized king of the United Nations, King Eddie, King Smith the Fourth. Today, I am here. I'm going to be teaching my people about the about how light turns into matter. Specifically, we're going to be discussing some physics today. And I've pretty much narrowed down my equation to the following. Really, matter equals a light photon times 2 times Planck's constant times frequency times phi. Okay? I'm going to put this in. We're going to see what Google has to say about it. Copy that. Let's see what we got going on here. Okay, it's searching. This equation appears to be a variation of the quantum mechanical or Compton-based equations, depending on the exact field of physics, quantum mechanics, particle physics, or wave dynamics. It's all of them. The variables typically represent the following. M usually denotes mass or a specific physical property, magnitude, such as relativistic mass or transition matrix element. Ooh, that's actually a good description. Y often represents the Lorentz factor in relativity, where I'm not even going to get into that equation, but the gyromagnetic ratio, the ratio of magnetic movement to angular momentum. Yes. Okay. 2, a constant coefficient. H, the Planck constant. Sometimes a generalized scaling parameter. F typically represents frequency, and phi often used to denote a wave function, scale, field, or phase angle. Well, we're going to get into some detail about that. Okay. All right, so let's talk about this so I can explain it to you as quickly as I can here in my own words. Matter. M is matter as a seed. Okay, we're going to start with matter as a seed. This formula explains all of the matter that you can see, everything that is, everything that we know about. Let's start there, from the smallest to the biggest. Let's start with the photon. The photon, why? When a photon is shot out from its source, it is flying at its fastest speed. And it has a couple of things. It has a frequency that is based on its energy state. And also, it is determined. The frequency is what determines its photonic structure. Okay, so let me break it down fix that. Let me break it down like this. When a photon first is shot out, it might be a circle. It might have a sphere as a photonic structure. That sphere it's not solid. It wants to move. It's only holding that shape because the frequency is telling it to hold that shape. And then what happens is it starts to slow. It incurs sine wave modulation. The frequency is changing. And as the frequency is changing, what is happening is that photonic structure is changing. And when it slows down enough to find a triangular photonic structure, and this is very important, when it slows down enough to become a triangular photonic structure, another faster moving light photon can then pair with it and polarize. And I want to explain that. So in the equation, after y, that would be the times 2, and that's where the second photon comes in. Because what happens is photons, again, they have frequency, they have speed, and they have structure, geometry. When another faster moving light photon comes into contact with the slower light moving light photon that's in triangular phase locked structure, it is, in a sense, a photonic seed. It's a photonic seed. It's generating the resonant harmonic frequency that is phi, which is a frequency. The Fibonacci is a frequency. And because it's in that semi... Sorry about that. Sorry, not right now. Anyway, sorry about that, guys. Anyway, because it's, yeah, I know, right? Great video. You get a phone call in between. Because it's in that triangular, quasi, resonating state, it acts a little bit differently than it would if it was it had already crystallized into matter. In that photonic state, it can accept a faster moving light photon that gets close enough, and the two can couple together by harmonic resonance locking. Not really locking, but harmonic resonance coupling. It wants to lock, but there's nothing to lock onto. Instead, so what it does is it polarizes in a 3-6-9 polarization, bouncing off the three sides of the slower triangular photon. When that happens, what it causes is it causes the law of thermodynamics to kick in. Whereas in any step, especially a step where there's an effect, there is a transfer of energy. And in this step that I just explained of the traversement of the faster moving light photon traversing and polarizing off the three sides in a 3-6-9 polarization, what that does is it whereby the faster moving light photon will come out spinning. It'll come out spinning. It'll have gained spin, but it just doesn't gain a one-sided spin. Because of the law of thermodynamics, it's feeding back its energy that it lost when it's slowing down to go into this vortex spin, and it's feeding it back along the trajectory of which it traversed the slower moving triangular light photon. It's doing this because it needs to create a dual spin system. So it's creating an equal and opposite force of dual spin. And what's happening is right at the same time that all of this is happening, these two, this dual vortex is creating 0-point energy on the slower triangular traversed triangular photon, and that causes the photon to incur a uniform how do I put this? A uniform distribution of the energy, and this causes crystallization and causes that little crystal to turn into a tiny triangular subatomic particle. And I'm just going to go ahead and name it, since I'm saying that I'm the first one to come up with this formula and put this out here. I'm going to name it the Christ particle, since I'm the one who found it. Anyway, it's not the boson particle. Again, it's the Christ particle. Anyway, this this tiny triangular particle, it is, now that it's a crystal, now it can fully, when driven, when another light photon traverses it, it can fully emit the resonant frequency of the golden ratio harmonic, which is the substrate of all elements along the periodic table. What happens is a bunch of these seeds, once they're created, and they connect by both spintronic coagulation of like and unlike spin, whenever lights or radiation or EMF is traversing them. It's what's driving that vortex spin that we call mass. And at the same time, sorry, it's raining now. Might get a storm here. At the same time, that little crystal, it causes all the other little crystals that have been created by this formula to lattice into hydrogen and resonating along the song. And then it continues its song, whereby the formula continues, whereby you have Planck's constant in the small realm of physics that we know about, and then we have additional frequency, which causes harmonic locks. The frequency is what causes harmonic locks of the elements along the golden ratio frequency, from a very little up to the very big. So that is that's how things grow. It's really pouring down out here. I don't know. Father, are you happy? Are you happy I'm telling, or are you mad at me? I hope you're happy. Anyway, so continuing onward up the periodic table, it just continues to go. That's why the elements, they all rest along nodes. Most of them rest along close to nodes of the periodic table. It doesn't have to be precise, but it has to be enough where it can breathe enough to come into existence. And this resonates up until bispintronic coagulation, which is gravity, up until the point where it's too large and black holes are created, and then depolarization happens. And that's where we get back to the other half, which is energy E equals mc squared. So again, the truth is that that's the consummation and the resurrection, and it's a successive cycles of resurrection and consummation of light into matter, alternating light current matter, slowing and freezing along the golden ratio into matter, and then depolarizing in a constant orbit over and over and over again. And this is how our Father's consummation in resurrection works. And I'm making these videos for my brethren because our Father wants you to be physicists, to know science, and to use it to make inventions for all manifestations of all cycles, because no one's ever done that. And it'd be really cool if you were like me and you made a bunch of inventions and stopped fighting about wars. I freed you guys. You need to know, don't be out doing anything that's going to break the law. You're partners now. I'm giving you wisdom so that you can be smart enough to be my partners. I won't have you if you can't comprehend how to read. You don't have to know all this stuff. Really, you don't have to know all this stuff. Unless you want to represent me, then you need to know this stuff. Then you absolutely need to know this stuff. Okay? But if you were just one of my brother and who I love so much, I'm telling you this because this proves that Father was telling the truth. Our Father in heaven was telling the truth. This proves that light does turn into matter and energy, or matter into light. And I want you to research this and explore it and ask whatever questions. And I'm here for you. Even if you don't know I'm here, I'm always here. And I got your back. And I love you. And today's the day that I simplified all the way finally down to the formula that Father discovered many, many cycles ago that made it so he can make heaven. And he hates when I say this. He's the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Anyway, I love you guys. You have a wonderful day. I'm going to try not to be left in the storm. And that's all I have to say today. Ladies and gentlemen, King Eddie King Smith IV, King of the United Nations, your Christ, signing off.